This Ambetter 400 DFS and Underdog Picks edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Game Time, home for the lowest priced last-minute tickets. Download the Game Time app today and use promo code SGPN for $20 off. We're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Sign up today using promo code RACESGPN and then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/dog to enter our bonus contest. 5 winners will receive shirts, hats, and a $50 SGPN gift card. We're also brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets, the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month to start making smarter bets today.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast. I assure you, he is Cody Zeeb. I am Rod Villagomez, and we are, if you're on YouTube, you're not seeing Cody's beautiful face. Cody has readjusted his studio to try to accommodate a better viewing experience, in his opinion. And now the camera is starting to do what technology always does to us, Cody, and that is betray us at the first opportunity.
It sure does, Rod. I'm working on the technical difficulties, so I'll let you keep talking.
Indeed. All right. Well, good morning, by the way, if you are on the West Coast. Good afternoon. I know this is an earlier edition of the episode that you're used to because today this is about when we could fit it in. I mean, I'm sorry. I definitely try to make it a normal time for us, but sometimes it's just the schedule dictates a little differently. So we are going to do the DFS and Underdog Picks for the Ambetter 400 from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. It's going to be a fun Friday as we just give you our DFS picks and, of course, our favorite underdog plays, as we always do, to get you set up for the weekend of racing, which starts, by the way, in just a little bit. We're going to have trucks qualifying and then Xfinity qualifying for their races. So if you are somebody that likes to watch qualifying, you're going to have a hell of a day this afternoon. So we'll get this in, and then you can actually watch the qualifying right afterwards. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yes. Oh, man, cars on the track very shortly. Hopefully my camera will continue to work now. We're at a little bit of a new angle, trying out some new stuff. We'll see if it continues to work here. But I'm so excited. Cars on the track today. I still think they should do all the truck races on Fridays, but that's okay. We got a doubleheader tomorrow, so excited for that. And, man, it's been a fun week, getting the picks in, getting the research in, ready for some more chaotic, crazy super speedway racing. always makes the DFS game, the underdog game, a lot of fun. And yeah, I'm ready to do it.
Yeah, and so the pricing for this one is a little bit, I don't know. It seems to me as if last week, obviously, we got sort of a crapshoot when it came to what we got. This week, they're tightening up a little bit, but these prices are still high on a few of these guys. And guys got Denny Hamlin at 10.5, Logano at 10.3, Blaney at 10.2. All these $10,000 drivers, they're scary, but
you know what, Rod? Pricing doesn't matter on super speedways.
That's the glorious part about it. I was about to say it doesn't really matter at this point. We're going to fill our card. Don't be afraid to leave a few thousand on the table if you have to. And for this, especially, just build something you like. Stack teams, stack manufacturers, get creative. I don't know who ended up winning and what the lineup was last time, but I know there was a very few red flipped over cars in that lineup.
Yeah, I think I will find it while we continue to talk here because I had it somewhere. Well, yeah, I don't know. I definitely saved it somewhere. I mean, it was solid, but it wasn't like, I don't know, it just didn't like blow your mind, I think. But I definitely think there was definitely some stuff left on the table. So yeah, I'll have to look into it more.
Well, I'll tell you, I've got it pulled up right now. So the winner was DJ Murph 973, had Blaney. That was the only it wasn't even flipped over. It was just sort of out car. Bush, Byron, Chastain, Allmendinger, and LaJoy. So they shared your LaJoy love.
Yeah, see, LaJoy was the right play. You're welcome for that. And yeah, the Bush Blaney thing paid off that time, right? Where they were kind of the chalky guys because we knew they were starting at the back. This show going to be a little bit different from last week, and this will be more than normal. We're not going to know the starting lineup until Saturday. We have lives on the weekend, Rod. So I mean, we'll be watching, but not always enough time to get a pod out there and have it sit long enough for everybody to consume it. So yeah, we come into the DFS thing here without all the knowledge of that. So we're going to point out some guys we know, but not going to be able to build lineups like we were able to last week. So that'll be more the normal on how these work going forward if you're new to the show.
It's the dance we do. I mean, again, we could it's a fine line between do we put an episode out on Saturday and have everybody scramble, or do we just give you some nice solid bases and then of course you can adjust off of there. And then it's the way to drive our traffic to our Discord too, because the Discord conversation continues even after qualifying, which is a great way to get into it.
Yeah, and if you want more, if you want some, hey, what are your favorite DFS guys? We had people asking that last week for Trucks and Xfinity. We don't cover those on the pod for DFS guys. So it was like after the lineup was set, it was, hey, which are your favorite guys? And a couple of those paid off pretty well. So, we'll always answer those questions as well. Yeah, so great reason to be over in the Discord, like you were saying, to get all of that post stuff. But this stuff is, the guys we give you, there's a pretty good chance you're going to be able to use them kind of no matter what the situation is, even if they're starting up front. You maybe take that a little less this week, but Atlanta's a little more so. You kind of need a guy that leads a lot of laps than the other ones. We'll kind of get into all that. So these are guys you're going to use in your fantasy lineups while you're setting things up. So yeah, we pull out DraftKings salary particular, but it can apply to all of your fantasy NASCAR games. There's a million different ways to play out there. There's FanDuel, there's, Fan Tracks, all these other things, the grid rivals out there, all those as well. So they all apply in a very similar way as far as guys to highlight, keep an eye on. We like them going into the weekend for whatever reason.
Yeah, we'd be here all damn day if we gave you every single fantasy stat that every game that's out there, Survivor or NASCAR fantasy or all that stuff. We'd be here all day. So we're going to keep it confined to at least DFS. But like Cody said, this stretches across several fantasy platforms. And the only reason we also pull out Underdog as well is because Underdog has been a great sponsor for us. One, so completely transparent, but two, their contests are great. And it's definitely a great way to get in on it.
I got a lot of best balls to keep getting entered in here, so I need to keep hitting the money on the NASCAR so I can keep funding my best ball habits. So,
feeding his best ball addiction. I love that. That's fantastic. All right, so we'll do exactly that, and we'll set up the race for you as we get going. So let's step away real quick and remind you that buying tickets blows. It just absolutely blows. I remember the days when you just walk up to the box office and actually buy a ticket, and then not only that, but buy a ticket and not get charged fees. Well, ever since the advent of these apps, now they're not only charging you fees, but they're charging you login fees, and then buying the ticket fees, and then picking the ticket fees up, and then getting and sitting in your seat fees. And then when you're done with when the concert, they pay you or they charge you a fee for leaving the venue. Okay, maybe they don't do all that, but it's still very stressful to buy tickets, especially on an app. But Game Time, taking away all of that stress because they're going to give you the Game Time guarantee. They're going to give you authentic tickets that are on time. Plus, they're not going to charge you a ton of fees. You don't have to worry about getting charged out the ass for every single fee that they can think of and charge you for. You actually get the lowest prices. You get all that guaranteed. And if you find a lower price somewhere else, they're going to make up the price 110% of the difference. Not only that, made for your phone. That means everything you do will be from your phone. The tickets that are going to get sent to your phone, you're going to buy the tickets from your phone. Plus, you're going to get a picture of the seat that you're sitting in and the view from that seat. Can't beat that deal. So snag the tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code SGPN for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account, redeem code SGPN for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We're about to start talking Underdog in a little while, so make sure you get down on that. Underdog Fantasy has a way to play alongside your favorite fantasy players all season long. NBA, NHL, soccer, college basketball, NASCAR, F1. Simply pick higher or lower or better or worse on your favorite players' fantasy stats and cash in. Hang tight. Got a ton of Underdogs pick'ems for you later on in the show. Plus, SGPN is teaming up with Underdog to give you even more of a bonus. This is how excited I am. Sign up between now and the end of the month. 5 winners are going to receive an Underdog hat, Underdog shirt, and a $50 SGPN gift card. Sign up today using promo code RACESGPN and then go to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/dog to enter the contest for your chance to win. When you sign up with the promo code RACESGPN, Underdog is going to double your first deposit up to $100. Underdog Fantasy promo code RACESGPN. Make sure you use that promo code because we want to stomp every other show in the network on Underdog signups and get a sweet little bonus. And then again, we're passing it on to you with that sportsgamblingpodcast.com/dog offer. So get in on that while the getting is good. Cody, we are again at the Atlanta Motor Speedway for this Ambetter 400. It will be no rain, thank God. So we're definitely good there. But 260 laps around this 1.5 mile paved track for 400.4 miles. Lap leading on this one, it's a little important. Joey Logano at the Ambetter 400 last year led 140 laps. The second closest person to him was Brad Keselowski at 47. So it's going to be important, like you said, to get guys that lead laps because this is not like Daytona where the lead changes every 500 feet. Like this is one where somebody's going to jump out. They're going to click off some laps. William Byron, 111 laps in the 2022 race at this one. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to identify some drivers we think are going to be up front, but again, there's value all over the board still.
Yeah, that's what makes Atlanta a little bit more tricky when it comes to DFS because we have seen Joey Logano lead a lot of laps. We've seen Chase Elliott lead a lot of laps. Over on the Xfinity side, we've seen Austin Hill lead a lot of laps. And so there is a portion to that, not as much as next week at Las Vegas, where you need the 1 or 2 guys that lead a majority of the laps because there will be those guys. But they can get settled in at this track a little bit more than Daytona. There's going to be some riding around and still going to be the drafting and everything, but you'll have some follow the leaders at points in this. I mean, we really didn't see that ever at Daytona last week, which seemed like definitely kind of an odd thing. But I think we will have that more this week. So you've got to find that delicate balance in this lineup of somebody that's got the potential to lead you a lot of laps, which is probably going to be somebody who starts a little closer, but that's not going to get caught up in one of the big wrecks and get wiped out because if they lead a lot of laps, then they're going to cancel out the getting wrecked, but they're also not going to reach their full potential too. So again, very delicate balance as far as, trying to set this lineup. So it makes it a little bit trickier, but makes it a lot of fun as well.
Yeah, 5 cautions for 34 laps in last year's Ambetter 400. And then I tell you what, the fall race was just a monster craziness in 2022. 13 cautions for 64 laps in the fall race of that one. 11 for 65 in the 2022 spring race here in Atlanta. So like you said, there's going to be our fair share of craziness. What did I say? 25 cars on the lead lap in that first time on this reconfigured track. Crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be the big wrecks. It's just like Daytona in that part of it where you're gonna have the big spectacular wrecks. It's gonna wipe out a ton of DFS plays. It's gonna wipe out a ton of bets all in one foul swoop. So you got to be prepared for that because something you're gonna have to deal with this weekend.
Indeed. All right. Well, you know what? I think we've already set up. There's really no news that to speak of that will impact any of our picks. So why don't we just start getting into these DFS picks and lay out our DFS lineups for everybody out there?
I like it. We'll start with the high-priced guys like we normally do. I'm going to go a little bit off the top of the board at Chase Elliott, 9,800, the fifth highest-priced guy on the board. I'm very big on Elliott this week. I think that he's going to have a strong week. I think that he's going to look good. Of course, he was one of my outright winners on the Cup Series show a couple of days ago. He's only got 3 starts on this track. He did miss the spring race last season when he was out with his broken leg, but he did finish 13th here in the fall. You go back to the fall of 2022, though, the race I highlighted before, he led 96 laps. I mean, he was in control of that race a majority of the time. He's one of those guys. There's a couple of drivers in the field that are kind of really good at playing that Dale Earnhardt Jr. role, the Pied Piper, where they get up front and they're leading it. You know, the outside gets a run, they move up, they hold it. The inside gets a run, they slide down, they hold it, and they're just able to keep the lead. There's only a handful of those guys. Chase Elliott, definitely one of those guys when it comes to all of the super speedway tracks. So, but you go back to that fall race in 22, you know, he led 96 laps that day and he won. He started on the pole that day, Rod, but he was still the correct DFS play. And that's what I was saying earlier with, you know, it's, again, not a guaranteed thing the guy on the pole is going to make it or anything. But if you can get that guy that leads a lot of laps, it might be a guy more so at this track than at Daytona and Talladega specifically that does start up front, that's able to keep themselves up front, able to hold that track position, which I think seems to mean a little bit more here. So, you know, he was 22nd in the spring of, or rather, he was 6th in the spring of 22 in the other starts. So he's got 6th, a win, and a 13th place in 3 starts here. So not bad at all for Chase Elliott. So he is my first guy at 9,800.
Yeah, and again, these Hendrick boys are really good at Atlanta, and we know that. And so I think having one and maybe stacking a couple of them in your lineups is a good start to at least some. And again, if you're new to NASCAR DFS or DFS at all, it's probably a good idea to just start stacking and start having multiple lineups because, as we know, especially in Atlanta, if you got one lineup and some car wrecks.
Yeah, you got to diversify that portfolio because when Austin Dillon goes out on the 3rd lap of the race, you don't want all your lineups to be tanked, Cody. Oof. I mean, everybody out there.
And I felt personally attacked. But yeah, that's what you got to do for this, especially Atlanta, especially on super speedways. But yeah, for sure. All right,
we do have a question in the chat real quick. Off-season sports cards, wondering if we track our bets on Action or anywhere like that. We don't. We're working with our friends at Tally Site. They're going to try and get more updated deal. We do have a picks page over on the website, sportsgamblingpodcast.com. At least our outrights are tracked over there for now. They're working on getting in depth on that a little more, but pretty much we just, you know, keep track of ourselves. So we give out the picks this week, and then our Monday show or Sunday night show, whenever we're able to get to it, that's always our recap. We walk back through all the bets for all 3 series and kind of recap there. So not one specific place. We kind of keep them all in other than here on the podcast.
And honestly, listen, we've told you guys since day one, it's not our job to monitor the bets that you make. And so it doesn't really matter what we do because ultimately it's your guys' bankroll. It's your guys' money. And so if you want to listen to us, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine as well. But I don't know. I know in this day and age of receipts, everybody wants to see the receipts. We want to see how good you are, but in the end, man, listen, this is all for fun. And I know that everybody's winning money, but nobody over here is such a high bankroll person that they're going to be mad if they lose a $5 bet to, you know, Joey Logano this week. So that's just my philosophy on it. The receipts thing has never been my thing. Like I've never been a big guy.
I mean, we're going to brag when we hit them because that's always
sure.
Fun. And we're going to talk about it when we miss them too, because that's what we do here on the pod. So yeah, again, nothing tracked like that on Action. And again, you know, we don't expect you to follow every single one of our bets. We're here to guide you, give you what we like, and you make your own decisions from there.
Yep. teaching the men to fish or the ladies to fish. We're not trying to get you the meal. We just want to teach you how to do it. So, all right, I'll give you my high price driver, and I'm moving to his teammate at Hendrick. I'm giving you William Byron at $10,000. William Byron is right now. And I think he's probably the one guy that I'm comfortable with, and not just because he won the race last week. That's not the easiest thing to do it, right? I mean, again, obviously he got you 65 points at Daytona for winning the race, but not bad at Atlanta either, right? 2 wins in 4 races in this reconfigured issue. Granted, one was in the spring and one was in a fall, but he's got 2 wins on this track in 4 tries at the reconfiguration. And he led 111 laps, like I said, in that spring race. 41 laps in the fall race of 2022. Unfortunately, he didn't finish that. He crashed out, finished 30th after starting 13th. Another bad luck in the spring on last year's Ambetter. Started 11th, finished 32nd. But in the fall, he started 18th and finished first, led 19 laps in that one. Place differential, pretty good there, right? 17 place differential. And then even in the spring, or in the spring of 05 or spring of 02 or 22,
The 7th try is the best try.
it's Friday, Cody. It's Friday, every bit of Friday. In the spring, it's May, right? So May is 05 of 22. He started 12th and finished first. Almost don't feel like I have to make a huge case for William Byron, especially not only on this track, but just in general, because again, he won the most races last season in the sport. So he's always a good play. 10,000 is a little bit pricey, I think, for an Atlanta, but for a guy who can jump out and lead you 100 laps or more, I feel like you almost have to take that risk. And again, if you stack him with an Elliott, you can kind of dig down a little bit and figure out where to save money. But I think both of these plays together and even separately are good plays. So give me William Byron at 10,000.
Yeah, hard to argue with it. He's going to be popular, obviously, because he won the Daytona 500 last week. But we also told you last week, watch out for Kyle Busch and Ryan Blaney because they're going to be popular. You listed both of them in the guy that won the Millie. So that's how it goes. So it can still be a popular pick and a good pick. He's been strong here in previous starts. So he will be popular. Just keep that in mind to get off him a little bit in some spots, but could easily be the right play. And he's the type of guy that could, lead every lap of this race. Maybe not every lap, but lead a lot of laps in this race as well.
Oh, and by the way, that lineup did not win the Millie. It just won our contest. I don't know who won the Millie. I'm saying the one that won our contest is the one that I read. I was like, I don't know if that dude won it.
Either way, but maybe they did. Who knows?
Who knows? But yeah, so that's it. William Byron, Chase Elliott are high-priced drivers. Let me tell you about Hall of Fame bets before we get on to our mid-tier drivers. Win bigger by betting smarter this NBA season with Hall of Fame bets, the sports betting analytics platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Research every NBA and soccer bet with historical stats and data. Enter any parlay idea into Hall of Fame bets revolutionary parlay optimizer tool to get hit rates broken down by leg, as well as an expected probability for the entire parlay. Sort all players by hit rate for any bet to learn which players are hot and which picks have value. Stop betting in the dark. Join over 30,000 users researching with Hall of Fame bets to craft more intelligent, data-driven parlays. Download the Hall of Fame bets app or visit hofbets.com and use code SGPN to get 50% off of your first month today. Start researching, start winning with Hall of Fame bets.
Willie B, to no surprise, was in the lineup for the winner last week of the Millie. They did split it. 2 guys split it. They had Kyle Busch, William Byron, Bubba Wallace, Corey LaJoie, AJ Allmendinger, Noah Gragson. Damn, that's a pretty strong lineup for where
that's a hell of a strong lineup.
That's paid off nicely for them as they got to split the Millie Maker at least.
That's all right. I think $500,000 is nothing to sneeze at. So
yeah, you could probably find a way to use that money, I guess.
Probably just put it right back into your lineups for Atlanta. That's exactly what you do. All right, let's move on to the mid-tier drivers there, Cody.
Yeah, next up for me, Tyrone Gibbs, baby, $7,800. Going over to my guy here, Rod. I had I was a little bit ahead this week. I was doing my research early, had the sheet filled out. Then I was listening to the Back Road last night. You were on there with Seth, and I heard our buddy Seth say, Ty Gibbs, that's just a guy you can't trust this week. And that is my hope and my dream. Nobody's going to trust him. They got burned by him last week. They're going to be off of him. Not me. I'm going to be on him. Ty Gibbs. Rod, only 2 starts here in the Cup Series, but one of those starts, he has a 9th place finish. That was last spring. He was 34th in the fall, That was a rain-shortened race, kind of funny ending, all of that. Does have an Xfinity Series win and a 6th-place finish in his 2 Xfinity Series starts on this track in this configuration. So Ty Gibbs has been strong. He wasn't horrible last week. I mean, really, he got you 34.6 points. He finished in 17th place after starting 15th, so it wasn't the worst day ever for him. We've seen the Toyotas have some speed. We've seen them be strong on the super speedways. We know how talented Ty is. He's got a top 10 here before. He's won an Xfinity here before. Everybody's kind of off of him because they felt like, he just wasn't a guy. You didn't see him on TV much last week. He wasn't really mixing it up front. He just kind of was doing his own thing. I think he kind of got behind on one of the pit stops at one point, whatever. But my kind of hope here is people like Seth sleeping a little bit on Ty Gibbs, not playing him. I think he's going to be a much less rostered guy. I think it's 7,800. He could easily be a strong, solid weapon that gets you a strong finish here, scores you a lot of points, and maybe cash is big for your lineup this week.
I mean, listen, for Eric Jones, that's who I'm on next. For Ty Gibbs.
Rod's looking ahead to the next Toyota already.
I'm ready. I'm ready for the week.
See, I tried to talk Rod into doing this show last night, and he wanted to wait till Friday. This is what you get. My camera doesn't work. Rod can't talk. It's crazy.
That's all right, though. Listen, we're still putting out the good content. All right, so yeah, for Ty Gibbs, you're right. We didn't see him a lot, and that was the thing. I thought we would definitely see him more. I thought we would be a little more focused on him. We were a little bit higher on him in the off season, right? Talking about, okay, he's got a year now. He's got a second year.
That hype train is still up here, Rod. Don't worry.
Yeah, for me, it like the Cole's a little bit more.
See, you can't let Daytona affect your feelings on the season in any way, shape, or form. And Atlanta, if they finish last week and this week, that has no effect on their season, in my opinion.
Las Vegas is where the real action begins. This is just the amuse-bouche to our main course. All right, so my mid-tier driver, as I've already said.
Let me guess.
Hold on. It's
Eric Jones.
Eric Jones,
yes.
$8,000 over there for us. Look, and for me, like I said, I'm really, these legacy guys sort of they had a surprising showing in Daytona. Maybe not surprising to everybody because I know that we were a little bit on them anyways.
You specifically were real high on them last week.
I was, and they finished 7-8, which is a fantastic finish for that team. And I think they're going to run that back again this week in Atlanta. I think they're going to do well again. Eric Jones in particular for DFS purposes, chop liquor for me. 4 races on this track, right? In this configuration. Let's go back to 2022 in the spring race, right? 05 of 2022. Rod, your number game is strong right now. Eric Jones started 23rd and finished 14th. Not a doorbuster game, but a pretty good day for him DFS wise. But in the fall of 2022, started 25th, finished 4th. In the spring of 2023, started 28th, finished 8th. In the fall of 2023, started 25th, finished 11th. Dude, that's some serious differential points for you right there. And really, that's all you need out of him. And to boot, though, in that fall race of 2022, he actually led 10 laps on his way to a 4th place finish. Eric Jones has this place figured out. Eric Jones knows how to start from the back if he has to and come all the way up through the top. And last week was a great example of why you shouldn't count a guy like Eric Jones out. Now they're in Toyota equipment. He's only $8,000. He got you 42 points last week. The only difference is that he probably should have started deeper in the field. He started 11th and finished 8th. But he did have 7 fast laps, which, is pretty good. And on a super speedway, those things can come from anywhere in the field. So you can have somebody back in 28th turning a fast lap. But again, to me, I think Legacy is going to be good again. And I think John Hunter is going to be good. I think Eric Jones is going to be good. So give me Eric Jones as my mid-tier driver.
Yeah, I like it. We saw the Toyotas be strong last week. We think that's going to continue. Eric Jones has always been a solid super speedway guy. Talladega especially, he's about the most automatic top 5 guy there is for what is super speedway racing. But that all translates to here as well. So I do like the Eric Jones play also.
Indeed. All right, let's save some folks some cap space on their salaries. Where are we going for our lower priced drivers?
Yeah, I'm digging down here near the bottom. Give me Zane Smith. He is 5,700 over on DraftKings. Another guy kind of just flying under the radar. Rod, he finished in 13th place last week at Daytona. He had a very solid day, a solid run. He's been solid in the past on the super speedways in the truck series. He had a 5th place finish here in 2022 in the truck series. He's got 2 Daytona wins and 4 starts in the truck series. Been a solid guy. Not a ton of data to go on. Obviously, he doesn't have very many Cup Series starts, only a couple at this point, some spot fill-in duty. And then last week, of course, the Daytona. But started off the season with a 13th place finish. We know that Spire program has stepped up, right? They've been solid on super speedways with Corey LaJoie for years now. And even guys like Ty Dillon, they've been strong with in that 77 car. And now you got Zane Smith. He's also a trackhouse driver, so he's got the extra benefit of that, of working with guys like Chastain, who we expect to be up there. Daniel Suarez, we expect to be up there as well this week. So I think it's going to be a strong week for Zane Smith. I think another guy that kind of get overlooked a little bit here farther down, especially because I think he might have a decent qualifying effort again this week and maybe start more mid-pack. Still fine for me. He doesn't have to be in the back to have you a good, strong, solid day. So give me Zane Smith at 5,700.
Oh, how the turntables. Now it is that you're singing Zane Smith's praises over here, and I'm,
not making fun of him going to the back anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And here we are
truck
now.
series thing.
That was a truck series thing. No, like you said, I mean, these Spire guys are much like the legacy guys, right? I mean, they sort of turned a little heads last week at Daytona because the way they ran and finished better than anybody expected. I don't think anybody had Zane Smith finishing inside the top 15. And if he did, please show me the receipts because I definitely want to see. No, I don't care. I don't
we
care.
we didn't get a fair shake at seeing Carson. He got tore up right on lap 3 or whatever early in the race. But yeah, Corey was impressive. Obviously, top 5, and then Zane not far behind him there. So they had a very strong day.
Yeah, I'm not salty about receipts or anything like that. No, I'm just. I woke up this morning and chose violence, I guess. All right. So for my low tier driver, I'm just going to go to Eric Jones's teammates. As I was looking through the lower price drivers, I thought to myself, well, listen, if I think Eric Jones is going to finish well, then John Hunter is down here at $6,200. Might as well just kind of give him as a package deal and do a stack, a legacy stack, if you will. Obviously missing Jimmy, but whatever.
Legacy Motor Club stack?
A Legacy Motor Club stack. So get your tea ready and your pinkies up. One Cup Series start in this. He did start in 2020, so that really doesn't count. He actually didn't start. He hasn't started any of them in the new configuration. But as an Xfinity driver, he won the fall race here in the Xfinity car after starting second. And then in the spring race in the Xfinity, he led 10 laps, started second, finished 8th. So not the greatest day of it all. So 2 decent runs in the Xfinity series in this configuration. We'll see if he can't do it again. We just talked about it, the fact that he finished 8th in Daytona. Actually, yeah, he finished 8th in Daytona, and Eric Jones finished 7th. So yeah, I got to tell you right now, I'm very impressed right now with this Toyota camp. I'm very impressed with this legacy camp. And like I said, if I think that Eric Jones is going to do well, then it stands to reason, especially on a track like this, that his teammate John Hunter Nemechek is going to do well as well. So yeah, give me that. And really, I'm sorry, I flipped it. John Hunter finished 7th. Eric Jones finished 8th. But they were both there together, so it doesn't really matter. And I think they're going to do it again. So at 6,200, give me John Hunter Nemechek as my low price driver.
I love it, Rod. You can put all these guys in. You still got 2,500 left to spare, so plenty of room to build good lineups. Obviously, we don't know all the starting lineups, so don't just go blindly play that because that's going to factor in as well. But I think that's 6 solid guys to at least start your week off on. Take a look at them and definitely keep an eye on them and keep them in mind as you build your lineups this week. And then, of course, guys like Corey LaJoie, I didn't want to give him out again, but I'm going to be on him for this because I'm on him to ride the car lift, right? And that's another spot where the bets correlate with the DFS sometimes, and the DFS correlates with the bets because, if we think a guy like a Zane Smith could have a solid day, we didn't talk about him on the betting show, but maybe you really like that angle. Maybe you want to take a top 5 on him or a top 10 on him. Well, that might be a pretty good idea because we think he's going to be a solid DFS play. So again, it kind of translates both ways when it comes to that type of stuff.
Yeah. And really, ultimately, that's kind of, we're just giving you the tools. Like Cody said, we don't know where they're starting. So And this is how it's going to normally be from now until the end of the season. We had a great opportunity in Daytona to have the qualifying and duels early, but we don't get that. We don't get that. And so to save you time, we're just going to give you the drivers that we're on. Use them, don't use them. That's on you. So love it. All right, let's move on to the underdog portion of our show, where we're going to give you our favorite underdog pick'em plays for this. Thank you again to Underdog for giving us the opportunity to have these plays. Again, we're picking better or worse than the finishing position. So better than means they finish better than whatever position they're at. And then worse means they finish worse than. Again, cleaning up the language for us. Thank you very much. It was confusing to have higher than or lower than, because it's higher on the track or higher in numbers. What are we talking?
Exactly. Shout out to Underdog. Make sure you use the promo code RACESGPN when you sign up. Rod, they're offering what is almost a free square this week on Mr. Kyle Larson. They've got his better, his worse than set at 9.5. This could not be an easier worse than for me at 9.5. Rod, but you say he was second place in stage one last year. He was running great. He looked good. He's going to run great. He's going to look good. But guess what he can't do, Rod? Most of the time, he can't avoid the wrecks. Again, I'm going to find a way to bet on Kyle Larson next week, even though his numbers are going to be shit, because I want everybody to know that I do like him and respect him as a driver. Just not good on super speedways. Again, the outlier, he had a 11th place finish last week at Daytona. I don't think that's indicative of he's suddenly figured out super speedway racing. I think he just happened to survive the massive chaos at the end, got lucky, got a decent finish. But you go back and you look at his finishes in the fall or summer race, I guess it was technically last year. It'll be fall this year. But in the summer race, 36th place. That is not very good if you didn't know. In the spring of last year, 31st place. In both of these, he started 8th place, 9th place. In the summer of last season, he started 3rd, finished in 13th, so ended up with an okay day. But guess what? 13th is not, Rod. Better than 9.5. And then in the first race here on the reconfigured track, 30th place. So 3 out of 4 races on this reconfigured track, he's finished 30th place or worse. That is not very good. And even the one he finished better was 13th. That's 3.5 spots worse than 9.5. So for me, this is just an easy one. Again, you got to get your fade Kyle Larson in now before he wins 8 races this season, because we can all see that coming down the road, right? And there's going to be plenty of spots to be on him, plenty of spots to take his higher than. His higher than is going to shrink real quick. And it'll be interesting to see how much Underdog is keeping up, because we might have a really good opportunity next week to get a lower number on him if he gets a bad finish this week. So you could maybe use that to your advantage, but it's not great at the super speedway. It's been real bad here at Atlanta since it's been repaved. I don't see that changing this week. I think Lack was an outlier. I think that you continue to fade him this week and you go with the under or the worse than 9.5 for Kyle Larson.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much more that we can say that we haven't already said about that in our super speedway. So we'll put a pin in that for until the next time we go to a super speedway, and we'll all ride that fade Kyle Larson train into a worse finish than his 9.5. For me, I'm making a pretty much a total gut call. I'm going to take Bubba Wallace. I'm going to take better than 12.5. And honestly, yes, this has a little bit to do with the fact that he did finish 5th last week at the Daytona 500, but maybe he does have something figured out. Seth was telling me last night on the back road that Bubba had spent pretty much all month in Daytona, just getting his headspace right, like just studying.
Yeah, if you haven't listened to him on Door Bumper Clear, go check that out, because he was he's very focused this year. He's not putting the pressure on himself, which can be scary. If a guy like that's not feeling the pressure anymore and he's able to unleash it, watch out.
And it's funny because here's the thing. I was listening to, because I don't really have time to sit down and read anymore, but the subtle art of not giving a fuck. And really, honestly, that is what it is. He's letting go of a lot of the pressure that people are putting on him and that he's putting on himself. And honestly, it makes such a huge difference when you're just not carrying around the weight of everybody's opinions. So maybe we saw that. Maybe we saw the result of that in Daytona in that 5th place finish, and maybe he can get himself back there at Atlanta. And I hope so, because Atlanta's not been kind to him, especially during the repaves. He's got finishes of 13, 14, 27, and 25. Now, those 13th and 14th in 2022 were on the cusp of that 12.5. Obviously, 27, 25 not. but he did lead 5 laps in the fall, which means he had a pretty decent car. So yeah, I mean, again, really, I'm throwing out all of the old track stats on Bubba and just saying maybe we're seeing a more focused, more determined guy on the track, and that 5th place finish last week was more indicative of what he's capable of than these 27 and 25 place finishes that we saw in Atlanta last season.
Yeah, I'm big on Bubba this week. I think he's one of the better super speedway drivers in the field. And I think he'll have a strong, solid result for you this week. And I think he can definitely get the better than this.
Me too. It's only 12.5. So he's got a top 10 finish, I think, is well within the realm of possibility.
Yeah.
So give
me
me
he just did it last week at Daytona.
That's what I'm saying. All right.
And Cody, that was after he ran out of gas.
I know, right? Oh my God. Yeah. You get 5th place and run out of gas. You're falling under a star.
Yeah. Next up for me, Rod, going to continue with the trend of taking the worst thans. I think that the solid way to do this on the super speedways is hit the worst thans, especially when you're getting some decent numbers. Martin Truex Jr., worse than 11.5. I will say 2 out of 4 times Martin Truex Jr. has actually gone better than this. However, those were the first 2 times here. The last 2 times have not gone so kind to him. So he was 8th place in March of 2020, July of 2020, or 2022, rather. Now I'm struggling with my years. So he was 8th in spring of 22. In the summer of 22, he was 11th, but then 19th last spring, 29th last summer. Another guy that just continues to struggle on super speedways. He's never won one. He's kind of got a little bit of Kyle Larson in him. I think at times he can be a little more consistent than Larson can be on the super speedways, but just continues to not perform super great. And again, I'm kind of just looking at it as far as a blanket statement on mostly going with worse thans throughout all 3 series, which are all, they're probably down at this point now with practice and qualifying, or no practice, just qualifying for a Trucks and Xfinity here. But there was some pretty low, some guys 2.5, 3.5. So when those come back up, if you're getting numbers like that, it's really hard to argue for better than on that low of a number on a super speedway. Again, next week at Las Vegas, a completely different story. But at this type of track, the worse than is the way to go. I'm going to keep up with that. And I'm targeting guys that aren't traditionally the best on super speedways. Martin Truex Jr., one of those guys. So give me worse than 11.5 for Truex.
We're not saying that he's retired again, but he's certainly leaning in that direction.
I might be on him next week again, too, because, again, just a completely different story. Super speedway to regular track. And just you can't trust these certain guys you can't trust on super speedways. He's one of those guys.
Yeah, I concur. All right, well, I'm going to go with his former teammate there at Gibbs. I'm going to take Kyle Busch. And Kyle Busch, look, I know that you're on the worse than train, and I get that, and I totally back that.
Rod's got the half glass full, or wow.
I'm way half glass full. That is on me because I'm always the optimist. But I was targeting. I didn't really know that I was going to be doing this until I got to the dock, and I was like, well, you know what? I think I'm going to target guys that I think have numbers that are too low. And I think Kyle Busch, his number is set at 10. So I'm definitely going to go better than on this one. Look, in the 8 car, he had a 10th place finish and a 5th place finish last year on this track. So that 5th place finish is definitely something that I think he can do again on this track. We all know that Kyle Busch is Kyle Busch, right? And his range of outcomes are so frustrating sometimes. He can come out, he can win you a shit ton of races, and then he can come out and lose a bunch of races in a row. Right. And then he can pop up and win a race, and then he can not. But last week he had a 12th place finish at Daytona, but he did lead 12 laps. He was one of the cars that you had your eye on for most of the race. And we know that, look, this is Kyle Busch. So if you're going to tell me he can get inside the top 10 at Atlanta again, like he did last year, and just barely didn't get the better than number, got the exact number, which is I think why Underdog was like, we're going to be sneaky. We're going to give you 10 and see what you do. Not even 10.5. It was just 10.
They really should just always include the 0.5, but
give us the hook. But I still think that within the top 10 is a place for Kyle Busch. And I think I'm going to go ahead and safely take the better than 10 on Kyle Busch for my Underdog pick a play.
I like it. He's the guy that I'm on to win this race this weekend. So I believe first place would qualify for better than 10th. So I'll ride that one with you. Rod, This one was just a case of the number being extremely low on a super speedway and nothing else. Joey Logano, they've got him set at 6.5. I'm going to take the worst then again. Look, Joey Logano's good here. He led over 100 laps last season, won the race. He was strong last week at Daytona. He's strong every time we go to a super speedway. Always a guy that's going to be in the mix. But, Rod, when we come to a super speedway, you're talking about a place where any of these 37 guys can win. Any of these 37 guys can finish inside of the top 6. One crash can take you outside of the top 6, no matter if you're the best car and you lead all but the last lap. It doesn't matter if you don't get the finish. Not saying that Joey won't get the finish because he's more than capable, as we've seen, but the odds show it's not, it's a lot tougher of a task to get in that top 6 than be worse than 6th place. So give me the worst then for Joey Logano at 6.5. This was it might actually been the lowest number on Underdog. One of the reasons I wanted to go to that because, again, that's the philosophy this week, and that's going to change next week when we go back to Las Vegas. I want to keep reiterating that because, this is 2 weeks of kind of the same stuff because it's the same type of tracks, and that's how it's going to be, and we're going to talk about this same strategy when we get to Talladega in a couple of months too. But week to week, it's going to be different. Track to track, it's going to be different. I think that's the way to target this. That's a very low number, only 6.5 on a super speedway when anyone in this field can get in that. So give me the worst then on Joey Logano. One little crash takes him out. And again, on a week-to-week basis, any crash can take you out. But there was, 8 cautions for 60-some laps last year, 11 cautions. Like, you read them off. There was a lot of cautions, a lot of wrecks. You're going to have the big one, maybe once, maybe twice. It's going to happen here. It's tight racing. It's fast racing. Kevin Harvick, again, like I said earlier this week, commented on how it's one of the most difficult things he's had to do as a race car driver. So give me the worst then on Joey Logano at 6.5.
I got him as an outright, so I'm hoping for your sake.
Good way to hedge off that, right?
Yeah.
Is he going to finish 2nd through 5th? Probably not. Or 2nd through 6th? Probably not. He's either going to win or he's going to finish 7th.
Come home on your hood or with it. That's what I want to see. All right. So my last driver for my underdog pickup, I'm going to take Ross Chastain. Again, I'm targeting players that I think have numbers that are too low for where I think they're going to finish. 13.5 is his number. I'm taking the better than on that one. Look, he finished 21st last week at Daytona, but we know that it was that one move that got him in the end that was a pretty ballsy move that he made there. He led 14 laps. Ross Chastain, in my mind, is back. I think whatever happened last season, again, 2022 was a high season for Ross. He was smashing watermelons. He was making video game moves. Like, it was a banner year for that guy. But unfortunately, it ruffled a lot of feathers. And I think last season we saw sort of the subdued version of what he should be. He's finished 2nd in Atlanta on both races in 2022, right? He was a man on fire. So he had 2 top 3 finishes in 2022. Came back last year for a 13th and a 35th. And that 35th was, because he had a trouble and got on the DVP clock and couldn't get off of it. But even his worst finish, his best finish last year in this race was better than 13 and a half. It was actually 13th exactly. But again, I still think, much like Bubba, I feel like Ross maybe has put his head back in the game and taken away a lot of that admonishment that he had last year and just decided, I'm going to be Ross Chastain again. And I don't really care who else hates it, so long as my team owner, my crew chief, and everybody in that garage still believes in me. Who really cares what everybody else thinks outside of this Trackhouse team? So if we see that again in Atlanta, then I think we're in for a pretty decent finish. Now, just like Cody said, just a bad move like he did last week at Daytona could take him out of contention and put him in 21st. But, that move doesn't happen. He's in the top 10. He's in the top 15, top 13. And he gets this better than for you. So yeah, give me Ross Chastain better than 13.5 on this race.
Yeah, I like it. And again, I think that's the way to go is target the worst thens on the lower numbers, target the higher thens on the bigger numbers, and try and meet there in the middle. And that's a strong, solid strategy. So good luck on your underdogs this week.
Good luck on everybody's underdogs this week. All right, let's recap what we just went over here. We'll start with our DK plays for you. Cody started you out as a high price driver with Chase Elliott at $9,800. I gave you his teammate William Byron at $10,000. Cody gave you Tyrone Gibbs at $7,800. His name is Tyro. I tell you, poor Ty. Sorry, Ty. Let's have a beer when I see you next. And then I gave you
Is
Eric
he old
Jones.
enough to drink beer? Actually, I don't think he might not be.
Question. All right, fine. Vodka it is. All right, Cody. Cody gave you Zane Smith at $5,700. I gave you John Hunter Nemechek at $6,200 as my low price driver. Our underdog pick'em plays of the week. Cody gave you Kyle Larson worse than 9.5. I said Bubba Wallace was going to be better than 12.5. Cody gave you Martin Truex Jr. worse than 11.5. I said Kyle Busch would finish better than 10th. Cody said that Joey Logano would finish worse than 6.5. And I said Ross Chastain would finish better than 13.5. There you have it. Your DFS and underdog plays of the week. We have reached the end of our week, Cody.
We have no more Shirley Temples for Ty Gibbs. He is 21, so we can have.
Hell yeah! Put some. Like he can actually have a full on old fashioned.
Yeah, that's right. There you go.
I love that. Maybe he doesn't though. So maybe we'll just have to keep drinking the Fanta.
He'll stick to a Monster.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. Well, hey, I'll put some vodka in that.
There you go.
What is it? Red Bull. Yeah,
I'm sure you can do it with Monster. I don't know if you mix Monster with. I don't know. Well, shit, Monster has their. I mean, Monster has their own alcohol now, but that's
true.
Separate. That's the Tyler Reddick deal, not the Ty Gibbs deal.
That's their malt liquor deal. I love that stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Cody, like I said, we've reached the end of the week, man. That's it. Go back if you haven't already. Listen to all of the betting episodes. Of course, if you want a deeper dive in some of these drivers, it is all in the. I mean, we give you the DFS angles here, but if you want even a deeper dive, we do that in the betting episodes. So make sure you go back and listen to those. And before I let Cody get the last word, I just want to say this has been a phenomenal. A lot of times in our industry, Daytona it always blows up because it's Daytona, right? Daytona is the one where all eyes are on Daytona. And then afterwards, you sort of see a drop off. Guys, we haven't seen a drop off. You guys have hung with us. It is amazing to see. I really hope that this continues through the rest of the season, but it's very encouraging to know that you guys are with us for the ride for the entire season, not just for Daytona. So thanks for hanging with us. Hopefully we're still providing you with the same sort of insight and entertainment value that we gave you in Daytona. And you stick with us through the rest of the season. So yeah, thanks everybody.
Yeah, I echo all of that very much. We greatly appreciate it.
We certainly do. All right, Cody. Well then, as we send everybody off to set their DFS lineups, their underdog plays, and their betting cards, remind everyone where they can find all of your hard work outside of this confined space.
Yep. Follow me over on the X at NASCAR Gambling. Find all my stuff over there. Make sure you check out the YouTube as well. And let's go cash some money. Let's go make some money here at Atlanta. Cash some good DFS lineups. Have a good fantasy week, and go back and check out the F1 Gambling podcast too. Little IndyCar talk on that one. So yeah, once you're caught up on all these, swing over there and finish off the weekend with some IndyCar talk.
Hey, we're leaving you with half a Friday to catch up. That's plenty of time, my friends. Well, half a Friday if you're here on the West Coast. It's already mainly past if you're on the East Coast. Follow me on X. I'm at RJ Villagomez. Link in the about everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it is the Sportsbook Review, wrestling stuff coming out, a little bit of racing here and there. But of course, check out the Back Road over there on In Between Media's YouTube as well. Seth and I held it down last night for Atlanta as well. And then, yeah, just have some fun. And then, of course, check out the Truck Series episode from our friends over there at the NASCAR Betting Preview Show. We've got a contest going with them all season long. And then, the rest of their content as well. Good friends over there. All right, plugged everybody I need to plug. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy the racing weekend. Until then, let's go racing and let it ride.